What's up, guys, and welcome back to the NoShang Invitational. We're in Game 3 between Attax and Finem, as Game 2 was, I don't even know what that was. If you haven't seen it and you have, 2 hours of time to burn, then, go and watch that when it's out on the VODs or whatever. If you're watching on VODs now, then go do that, because while you're watching Game 3 before Game 2, but we're in the third and final game to decide who's going to be moving on to the second round, who's going to drop down to the lower bracket. I'm Mikelorus, going to be this time joined by Danny. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm here to give you a hand. You sound exhausted after
You missed all the good
previous
stuff.
series. I didn't miss it. I watched it, and seeing it from a spectator's point of view, I like my toes crossed, my fingers crossed. I was just sitting there screaming at all the plays. Like, honestly, I didn't expect them to actually be able to come back out of that really dire situation. It was quite literally defense of the racks for what? A good 30 to 40 minutes of the game?
Yeah, well, more than half of it, I think, so there is that.
It was a very long time.
But, yeah, it's always hard to do, like, afterwards analysis on games like that, because it just, like, devolved into such a weird game state. Finem definitely putting their global power to use, their split push, as well as the reason why they didn't just straight up lose the game whenever they got picked off a couple of times, but alternate attacks, brute forcing with the OD and the Morphling proves to be just a little bit too much. So maybe fatigue is going to get to these guys. I would imagine that both these two teams, they've been around the block long enough to not just be like fatigued out of Game 3 or whatever. They may just, put a little bit more pressure on, maybe. Grab a Vengeful Spirit,
Maybe.
Juggernaut, start pushing.
Well, after having such a long game, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the teams do decide to go for a really early pushing strat to sort of finish up the game before they let the fatigue impact their decision making, because it has happened. Like, we've seen, like, even teams of higher calibers in other tournaments, you can tell how the duration of the games can really impact the way they think. Like, sometimes they'll make decisions they don't normally make because they don't actually think about it, because they don't have the energy. Like, Dota 2 is such a mentality-heavy game that if you're not in the right mindset, it can definitely, you can say it can lose you the game. So let's see what we're gonna have. Are we gonna be seeing any core heroes coming out from any of these teams? We'll have to find out. As Lone Druid is gonna be the first pickup for Finem. Now, I didn't see Game 1. Did we see a Lone Druid in Game 1?
No, I believe it was banned first phase both games. So, I mean, maybe this is just an oversight, because every single time I see a team let Lone Druid through, I'm always like, this is not going to end well for that team. The hero is just so ridiculously strong. He's tanky, he gets a lot of damage done. Very difficult to actually deal with, in lane especially. So, ideally for the Lone Druid, you want him on the safe lane solo. You want to have an aggressive tri-lane. That's like, the perfect world for the Lone Druid, but he makes good on whatever lane he goes into. So, alternate attacks, they're going to have to try to put the pressure on him early. I think that's probably the best way of handling the hero.
Yeah, actually, the Lone Druid is a hero that alternate attacks likes to pick up a lot themselves. So for Finem to pick it up themselves, they've essentially picked one of Exotic Deer's most powerful heroes. But instead, they're going to pick up the OD and the Faceless Void. So if you see a strong hero, pick up equally strong heroes, or even better strong heroes to sort of outmaneuver it. And I love Faceless Void picks up against Lone Druid, because a lot of the times Druid is going to be relying on the bear to do a lot of the physical damage. When the Chronosphere is there, Lone Druid isn't going to have as much impact as he would like to. Like, heck, you can even Chronosphere the Lone Druid, and he's probably going to drop in about a couple of right clicks, because that hero never wants to be in the middle of the team fights.
And we'll see what damage combo alternate attack actually grab with this Chronosphere. They did have a couple last time. Witch Doctor is going to be banned out, which is kind of curious to me, especially first phase. Like, the Witch Doctor play last game was not really super dangerous. I mean, now it's working out pretty well for them because they don't get that combo, but alternate attacks, they have the Void again. Lone Druid and now Bane from Finem, they both do have ways of interfering with that Faceless Void Chronosphere combo. Savage Roar is a pain in the ass all the time, and Nightmares and Grips and whatnot. So they do have ways of interrupting this, but none that are really going to be catching the Faceless Void off beforehand. They don't really have any preventative measures, except for, hopefully the Grip comes out before the Chronosphere does. So I would like to see Finem try to grab some form of way to out-initiate this Faceless Void. I'm not really sure what that would be at this stage, but even just someone like a Disruptor would be a decent soft counter to this hero and also to the OD. I'm waiting for the day also where teams start picking up Doom again, just realizing that Faceless Void is too much of a pain to deal with, so they just Doom him and forget about him.
Well, I've seen a couple of Doom games, even up against Faceless Void, and the hero isn't as good as he sounds. Like, a lot of the times the Faceless Voids can outmaneuver the Doom. As teams, they just sort of, if you play up against the Doom, change your playstyle and you pretty much solve that issue. Now, Team Alternate Attacks, they are not going to go for the Morphling this time. They've picked up the Gyrocopter. Now, this hero is going to synergize very well with the Faceless Void during the early game, so they're going to have a lot better early game presence compared to when they had the Morphling. I'm not saying Morphling was bad with Faceless Void, it's just the hero needed much more farm to have the same impact that a Gyrocopter would with at an earlier portion in the game. So it seems like Team Alternate Attacks, they don't want to finish the game late, but they still have the late game insurance, even if it goes if it reaches that point in the game.
Yeah, this is a pretty balanced set of heroes. Of course, late game, these heroes are all just absolute powerhouses, but Gyrocopter OD, especially early game, put out quite a bit of damage. And even though Finem do have the Lone Druid, they so far don't really have any great heroes to really pressure this as far as taking down towers are concerned, especially with Juggernaut and Viper both being banned out by Alternate. Finem would love to apply pressure to this if you can, especially this Faceless Void lane. Sit on the OD with a pair of heroes. Maybe Bane Invoker combo is giving enough to land a couple of Sunstrikes here and there. I mean, this pushing is starting to come together for Finem, but if they try to out late game the Alternate Attacks draft, I think that's just a mistake, because as powerful as Lone Druid is, you can't really out late game this group of heroes from Alternate.
No, I don't think they can either. So I would expect not just aggression, but also a lot of push, as you said, coming out from the Lone Druid and the Invoker. I've got a support pickup here for Team Alternate Attacks, but Mirana pickup for Finem. Now, this is a hero that we've seen a little bit more as teams have been experimenting with Miranas. The hero isn't outstanding compared to a lot of other heroes, but she does give you a lot of niche spells. Now, the one in particular I'm looking at here is the Moonlight Shadow, which gives Finem a lot of gank potential, as they've technically got free smokes with this. And also, you can also count in the Sacred Arrows if you get a couple of lucky 5-second disables.
Nightmare into Arrow used to be just an instant 1-2 pickup for teams. Not so much anymore. Get a Sunstrike on top of that, and that is a hell of a lot of damage. Alternate Attacks do have ways of getting around this. Imprison from the OD, swap from the Venge, Faceless Void. If he survives, may be able to just walk all of that damage off with his jump spell. But for right now, Finem, they had an okay display from Spartan's Mirana in Game 1. Landed a couple of freehand arrows, but I don't really think that was a Mirana game. This may be a little bit more so of a Mirana game, just because the hero does need to apply more pressure towards these cores of Alternate Attacks, and she does have even more guaranteed setup than the I believe it was just Oracle and OD on her side in the first game. So the situation here for Spartan is going to be one where he has more room to succeed, but he also has to succeed more.
Absolutely. So our final two bans is going to be the Tusk and the Ember Spirit from both teams. Now, Team Alternate Attacks, they're looking for another support as they've essentially secured all their cores, whereas Finem, they're probably looking for an offlaner here. A couple of heroes that we could mention for Finem here would possibly be a Beastmaster, if they're looking for a little bit of setup vision for the Invoker and the Mirana. They do like to play that quite a bit, actually. So I would definitely see Beastmaster, unless they want to go back and pick up the Nature's Prophet again. Because if Finem sees Nature's Prophet, they will definitely pick it up.
5 seconds remaining.
There is a non-zero chance that for Finem, they're going to try to play this a little bit more aggressively. Into a Gyrocopter is always risky, and now a Dazzle for Alternate Attacks. A little bit surprised to see the Dazzle here, actually.
Ooh.
But All right, so well, on the topic of Dazzle, you would think that you would try to pick up a support here with a little bit more damage to try to hold down the fort a little bit more, but, Dazzle OD, Dazzle protecting a Gyrocopter with, of course, a swap in your pocket as well, never going to be a bad thing. Finem are going to go ahead and grab a Lycan last. I'm not really sure what these lanes are going to look like. I'm expecting some sort of, just dual lane with the Lycan, off lane Lone Druid, Mirana, for the most part on the roam. But for right now, Finem's last pick is going to give them a lot of extra pushing power. Like, Howl's always going to do that for your team, but you can Howl whenever you land an arrow, and that makes the kills so much easier. But also with Forge Spirits and the Bear, you can tear down towers pretty quickly, in theory, if Alternate Attacks aren't all there ready to fend with Call Down and Chronosphere and whatnot.
But they've got all this damage. Where's all the control going to be coming from? You're putting a lot more pressure onto the Invoker to really perform to help set up the kills with the Bane and the Mirana, so that the Lycan and the Lone Druid's supposed to do what they're going to do. And the problem is, if Invoker fails to initiate, who else is supposed to be taking that role? Like, I don't mind this Lycan Lone Druid pickups, but they really have to make it work. They cannot afford to lose their lanes, and they certainly cannot afford to lose momentum. They definitely want to be either equal footing with alternate attacks or ahead.
And again, that's kind of leaning on Spartan just a little bit more to land that arrow. They don't have someone like a Faceless Void who could just drop a Chronosphere and instantly get a pick off. Maybe like a random Entangle, maybe like a Tornado from long range. Like, that's kind of narrow, but land an arrow, immediately converge on him with all these wild animals, then you could definitely just play the tidal wave game from there on out, where you just surge forward with everyone, get those kills. But if you don't land the arrow, it's going to be a little bit difficult, and Lycan is not exactly the brightest hero in the game, so versus OD, things may get a little bit troublesome for him. Eclipse is going to hit pretty hard. Just being imprisoned or having your target imprisoned is an absolute pain in the ass, so it seems like for Finem, they're kind of just playing their own game and hoping that alternate aren't going to be able to withstand it. That's kind of fragile. I'm not really sure how much I like this game plan for Finem as much as I like the game plan for alternate, where they have this very solid late game kind of team fight based draft.
Absolutely. So let's see. Is it the riskier draft that's going to be coming through? Or is it going to be the much safer one? You said it's going to be the safer one. I'm just going to say, why not? I'm going to put all my money onto Finem's draft to see if this is actually going to work out. If it does, I'd be very much surprised, and I would honestly think that something really wrong happened for alternate attacks to let a draft like that get through, or not even get through. Just if you let it do what it's supposed to do. But anyways, we're in the laning phase, and we'll just have to see for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like impossible to actually ban against this or really prepare for this, because Mirana Lycan, like, come on, you're not really going to prepare for that, are you? That's probably a mistake if you do so. Game is pretty much, early game is being handled by Spartan. He has an arrow angle right now. Nisha's already going to time lock, tagged with the 5-second arrow. The one is now going to converge with the Howl. Sunstrike is there as well. There is no time lock. Last time Nisha survived, this time he will not. The one is going to draw first blood, killing off the Faceless Void. That is a sneaky arrow angle from Spartan, and he's going to find another one onto Supreme right now. Supreme doesn't really have that many places to wander around to. He will just walk to the side, though. You'll dodge that one. But either way, it's still a very nice first blood, and Nisha is going to get into another fight up on top lane. Level 1 time walk is, the cooldown is forever, man.
We got to keep an eye on the Mirana as well. If Spartan can get enough arrows during the laning phase, this is going to help both the middle lane as well as the top lane secure their lanes. And then maybe they can start putting a little bit of pressure onto the Gyrocopter lane down bottom to help Skylark get some CS. It's not like he's struggling or anything. You just want to get a little bit of control over Exotic Deer before he actually reaches critical mass. And looks like Spartan just spots out Nisha, hiding in the tree line for now, as he doesn't want to touch that Faceless Void.
He stole the big Satyr with the arrow, because you can like insta-kill things with the arrows now. You just Hand of Midas kind of. I mean, it costs 100 mana. It's pretty expensive, but it's not nothing. But as you said, Mirana applying pressure to mid and top also kind of applies pressure to alternate as a whole. Like, they have a Vengeful Spirit, they have a Dazzle. These are heroes that can help a lot up against this type of strategy. But if they do decide to help, that is going to leave Exotic Deer by himself. And leaving Gyrocopter by himself is not super risky for the Gyrocopter. He'll be doing just fine, but of course that is a lot less pressure, therefore applied to Skylark. So Mirana so far got 1 kill for the team, stole a creep from the Faceless Void. Nothing too huge just yet, but if she gets another arrow, if she gets like 2 more, I would say, then things get really bad for alternate. They have to make some really tough decisions about what they want to do with their supports, because right now, they're not really doing a ton to stop Skylark. He's still level 3, he's still doing just fine down here.
Yeah, and you also have to remember, it's a Vengeful Spirit and a Dazzle. This combination of supports is not very good when it comes to aggressive play. Like, you're going to be doing Jack to a 1.8k HP bear. Although we do have a lot of heroes converging mid, they're going to try and go for a jump onto Supreme. They get the Cold Snap, but the Dazzle's nearby. And unfortunately, the setup's not going to quite be there, as the Dazzle pretty much securing the OD's life there. Like, if you know there's going to be a Dazzle mid lane, why attempt it? Save your mana and try to go into a different lane. And if Nisha doesn't back out from this Lycan, he could be the next target.
Oh, arrow. I don't think it's going to find its mark. We'll get another creep, but Anisha will survive. And this is just at the very least failed rotation, of course, for Finem, but they also do get the confirmation that the Dazzle's not in this bottom lane. I'm not sure if Skylark was truly worried about having a Dazzle in his lane. It's not exactly a Vengeful Spirit worth of aggression, but still, it is less pressure applied to Skylark whenever they can force a hero out. And Spartan has been fishing with his arrows quite consistently, but unfortunately now he's out of mana, so it's an awkward situation for Mirana to be in. She grabs boots. That's definitely going to help. Maybe there's an opportunity to kill off a Gyrocopter. Skylark, once he gets the Entangle, maybe with an arrow landing they can actually make that happen. With a Sunstrike especially, it's possible.
Absolutely. If they can get a kill into Gyro, that would be huge. So we'll see if they can find the opening for it. Again, can we get the angle for this arrow? Gotta keep an eye on Spartan. Is he gonna be the Spartacus of this game?
Well, he found a pretty sneaky angle. He's gonna dig in to make the angle a little bit more surprising. And then there's no angle anymore.
It's so difficult in this bottom lane.
Well,
if he
Skylark does have... They really want Skylark to get level 5 first, like before anything is thrown out. Otherwise, you're just wasting mana, and once you give up your position, then as Mirana, it gets like impossible to land an arrow. So stay hidden, wait for level 5. There it is. And arrow's gonna land as soon as they get level 5. Perfectly timed. Sunstrike is there, plus the Entangle.
What?
That was...
Perfect.
That almost seemed unfair.
That was perfect. That is what Finem was looking for. And that's huge. All that gold went to the pockets of the Mirana as well. So that this is going to fuel Spartans moving around the map consistently. Like, he might even try and go for Supreme here. The Bane looking for the setup. They've got the Nightmare, but we're just going to have the Dazzle. Take that off. And actually, can they go for a turn onto the Bane? He's trying to fight him. They get the Dazzle kill. It looks like Bane's going to lose his life. Fairy Fire keeps him alive. And it's still a kill going in the way of Finem. It's not the OD, but it doesn't matter. A kill's a kill.
It's the upside and downside of having a Bane Mirana combo compared to someone like an OD or a Shadow Demon. You know, the Nightmare pull off is certainly a threat. Although, oh, Thug, he's going to get eclipsed. Oh, Fairy Fire again, saving the Finem heroes. The Bane's going to sacrifice himself to the Roche, right? Yeah, okay, Roche is going to grab the kill there, so 0, 3, and 1, I guess. But still, Spartan, level 3 now, really putting the screws to the alternate side, and in the meantime, Madra up towards top lane, happily farming as the Lycan. OD still survives, however, and that is a pretty big deal here for this mid lane. All this pressure being applied, yet still no deaths. It is going to be, you know, kind of not good enough to let this OD walk free unless Spartan gets more kills on other of these side lanes, and it seems like up towards top lane, they're looking at Nisha. They're not going to be able to kill him. This guy has level 3 time walk at this stage, and TP's coming in. They can kill up the Dazzle. Now that's a possibility.
They could, but the Vengeful Spirit's going to be up here too. So if any dive coming out from Finem happens in that top lane, you're going to be running into an extra support, not just that Dazzle. Now, because the supports are up in that top lane, you've got the Gyrocopter by himself down this bottom lane, and obviously Exotic Deer is not going to be feeling very comfortable down here. And you look at Spartan, he's sitting in the tree line again, so he's looking for the angle for that arrow. And this is the problem with Mirana as well, from Finem, because if you're team alternate attacks, if you don't know where the Mirana is, you're always going to second guess where you want to be, because there could be an arrow flying in your direction for all you know, especially during nighttime with the lack of vision, unfortunately. So this Mirana pick is really throwing alternate attacks off guard.
That being said, OD is still doing very well up against the Invoker. Again, you have to kill off this hero, or at least, you know, stop him from farming if you're going to call that Mirana game a success. They will check out the arrow. Observer Ward going to see Spartan coming in, so now they know exactly what's going on in this bottom lane. But you know, OD is still farming. The Faceless Void is still leveling very well. For the most part, just up against the 1v1 matchup with Lycan, and that's something that the Faceless Void can handle very easily now as Chronosphere, and may be able to contest a Roche. It seems like the Lycan, even with his Vlad's, not going to go straight towards that area just yet. He wants to go for the tier 2, or tier 1 rather. Arrow's going to claim a creep's life instead of hitting the Vengeful Spirit, but do you really want to walk into this? Even though they do have Call Down, Madra has Shapeshift, and there's a bear here, a bear with Demolish, and this tower is going to get demolished very rapidly. Denied, though, by Elisage. That was pretty sick. However, he has to make sure not to get with this arrow. Ooh, can he actually live? That was perfect.
Yeah, that was really, really nice Duke coming out from the Venge. So no kill, and also no tower going in the way of Finem. You're going to be very disappointed to not get that. They committed a lot of heroes down towards that bottom lane just to try and grab that tower, and not even the full bounty. It's a shame. They're going to run into the Roche pit with the lone druid, but Vengeful Spirit, she was already there. She scouts it out, but then all of a sudden, Fifth is found out by the Invoker. Arrow misses the poor Dazzle. There's a Grave Digger with the Venge alive, and Supreme's going to come in. Going to try and hit Skylark, but the entangles from the bear. The Dazzle was dropped. They're going to lose Supreme potentially with no Dazzle, no Grave. Skylark's still chasing. 2 dead so far for alternate attacks. Chrono catches that onto the Lycan. Cooldown is there. Can they kill him off? No, it looks like he will be shred to bits. As unfortunately for Finem, they don't have anyone to keep him alive. It ends up being a 2-for-1 trade, but a Lycan for 2 supports. And that's not really the trade you're looking for if you're Finem, although the bear, he's found the Dazzle again. Can he kill him this time? Oh, they managed to catch out Skylark. He should be dying here. A Fairy Fire. Oh, okay, there's the hammer dropped by Supreme. And, ooh, the arrow. Almost catching someone out.
That got a lot messier for Finem than it really should have. Maybe next time was up towards top lane the entire time. So close to level 6, and that's really what he was gunning for. I think he also grabbed Arcane Boots while he was up there. But Bane in that situation would have been absolutely massive, assuming he had mana and cooldowns to spare. Just want to point out how unlucky this lone druid is with his entangles. He had his bear working on everyone the entire time. Even got Alacrity in the midst of that, and still only got like 1 entangle on the OD, and that's it. So, Finem not exactly with luck on their side, yet that being said, their objective is still clear as day. They're going to get spotted out by the Venge. The wave did hit Roche, so I guess kind of helping them a little bit. The lone druid coming back in, he has 2 boots on his main guys, you know, 1 for each foot, obviously. And they should be able to come in and clean this one up. So, 2-5 out, Finem do have a kill lead. They have an Aegis in the lead. And they should be able to make a couple of more towers drop on the enemy's side. So, after all said and done, things still going pretty well for our Dire team.
Still according to plan. They would love to be a little bit further ahead than this, but it's still an Aegis, it's still an asset for them to use, and they've also smoked up right after this Roche. So, we've got our Bane as well as our Mirana looking for kills. Oh, they might be able to find Exotic Deer. They just need the setup, but they need to go right! Oh god, they're going down towards the bottom section. They're going to check the lane, and they won't find anybody. And he's already TP'd out too, so no kill in that bottom lane, unfortunately, for Finem.
Well, they don't get the tower. They will regroup over in mid, probably have a tower trade on their hands. Exotic Deer is shoving up towards top lane, but you cannot outrace a Spirit Bear with Alacrity, with Lycan here as well. He doesn't have his dogs here, but he has Howl, and that's just as good, I guess. My god, that tower dies fast. So, tower down, an advantage for Finem so far. Still top tier 1 is, I guess, dropping, but very, very slowly. Alternate need to defend this. They have Chronosphere, they have Cooldown, they have all the tools that they could possibly want, and the positioning for Finem is not exactly good up against Chronosphere and Cooldown, but they don't need to worry about that just yet. Arrow's going to go for a fish, not going to land on anyone. Nisha has Time Walk, trying to threaten them back, but they're not scared. They're just going to go Moonlight Shadow, grab the tower, and claim a 2-for-1 tower trade, with still the Aegis in tow. Probably it's time to grab another one. Tier 2 is actually being pushed as I speak.
Oh gosh. Is alternate attacks just going to give away their towers? They really don't look comfortable in engaging Finem at all. Is it simply because of the Aegis that they're worried about?
The Aegis is a pain, but you have Chronosphere and Cooldown. Like, this is why you grab these heroes, right? These fight-ready early heroes, so that you have the scaling, but you're also ready to fight if shit hits the fan, and I would call this shit hitting the fan pretty darn hard. They see Spartan, they can't imprison. Oh, they don't even have it imprisoned. Well, it's difficult to imprison when it's not skilled up. They're gonna turn around, maybe? That was an arrow that was, well, killing a creep. Alright, they'll claim a 3-for-1 tower trade, Finem, and now reap the benefits. Thug has his hand in Midas. Is he going for drums? Yes, he is. Drums Invoker. Now, that's an old one. Vlad's Necrobook is up on the Lycan. Got the bear almost at his relic. Nothing too huge just yet for the Dire side, but still, they haven't lost all that much either, so alternate are getting even less.
Oh gosh, and also because of all the really early tower grabs from Finem, they are getting huge injections of gold. They're getting the items so quickly. So we're going to have a bit of a counter-attack here from alternate attacks, and it looks like Spartan's going to be the first one to spot this out. The Mirana melts. Now, this actually saved Skylark's life, because if he was the first one to walk into that 4-man smoke, he would have been the first one to instantly die. So for Spartan to actually go ahead, it's more or less a saving grace for Finem.
they get the tower up towards top, so we can call that a Mirana for tower trade, and that's still really good for the Dire side, because the Lone Druid gets gold off of that. That's probably the most relevant thing. Still not quite yet at his relic, but oh man, okay, going for the top tier 1, that's fine. Going for the tier 2, that is rather bold. Mirana's gonna try to stall up mid lane. Best case scenario, get the Nisha. Oh, they found Nisha with the grip. There's a Sunstrike here as well. He will be able to time walk soon, but not soon enough. TPs, 2 of them are canceled. That's a free tier 2 tower. And Spartan actually tagged Supreme with an arrow. Did Supreme cancel that TP?
They all canceled their TP, so they have to walk home.
Oh, that hurts.
Oh, this game, just add Finem, they're doing everything correctly. And because there's no Faceless Void on the map, there's no Chronosphere, so they're going to get at least half tower damage here, if not the T3. And it's not even 15 minutes. Cooldown's going to be there, but can they get the tower at least? It doesn't even get denied. Supreme tried to go for the attempt. Skylark though is melting to Supreme. The bear is going to be able to save him all. The Mirana, a little bit too far forward, gets caught out. The Grave will keep Supreme alive, and the Chrono catches 3! They're going to get Skylark as well. He got stunned up. Aegis has been deployed. Now everyone on the side of Adfinem is on the retreat, although the Bane keeps himself alive a tiny bit longer, but he will drop as well. Thug under the cover of Ghost Walk, and all of a sudden, yeah, Adfinem went belly up in that fight.
That's exactly what happened in game 2 as well. Going really well. Suddenly they clump up a little bit and get massacred by a Chronosphere. That is what I was expecting to happen when they were pushing the tier 2 mid lane and tier 2 bottom lane. It didn't, and well, we could see the power level of these heroes when they actually land those spells properly. The OD was just delivering hammer blow after hammer blow, stolen so much intelligence, and of course Lycan is not exactly smart. Lone Druid is really dumb as well, 1.4 int growth per level. The Eclipse just does so much damage, and I mean, the Eclipse didn't even land that well. It was just on Spartan, but even if it did land on other people, that would have been just an absolute massacre. Adfinem, they go in, they take down tier 3, so even more gold, getting Skylark even closer to the Radiance. But again, clumping is not what you do up against alternate. At this point, for Adfinem, it's either they could try to brute force it, I think, one more time once they get their relic, but outside of that, you got to look for an arrow to land. You have to get your initiation on board, and Spartan is that initiation. He's been so far really good about landing his arrows, and he's looking for Nisha now. With the help of Bane, if they arrow, Sunstrike, Grip, Brain Saps, I think that might be a kill on the Void, but they're not going to find an angle here.
Such a risky position as well. It's so far out onto the Radiant side. Like, there's support just around the corner. So, looks like they're not even going to bother. Like, once they see other heroes in that mid lane, they will mission abort. It's just too risky for both of these supports to do it. Unless they can, unless they can get the kill in 2 seconds flat, then sure. But it might take a little bit longer than that. So, for Adfinem now, they lost the Aegis, they lost a massive team fight. Do they finish up their major items, such as the Necrobook on the Lycan, before they try and go for the next push? I don't really see a reason for them to rush that high ground as the Raxes are exposed.
I think like the best case scenario in that push is they get range Raxes, and it's not nothing, it's certainly pretty good, but you know, wait for your Necrobook. It's almost done anyway, the level 3 Necrobook. Relic should be done rather soon as well. Not sure if anyone else is getting anything huge. Thug just grabbed a Yule Scepter, so maybe we'll see some Meteor, EMP, not EMP, Meteor Deafening Blast, Sunstrike combos down the line. He's ready to go as well. Seems like alternate, they have all of their components up, and they will just go ahead and straight push a tier 1, get it for free, and hopefully not get any of their TPs canceled. Arrow's going to be thrown out, will not find anything. It looks like, yeah, top lane, a little bit of pressure here and there, but overall insignificant. So Adfinem just need a little bit more time. I think by 20 minutes, they should be, in theory, ready to go in again, and hopefully, for the Dire's sake, they should be able to clean out another Roche by that time. Of course, we don't know when it's going to come back up.
Yeah, we'll have to see when the timer pops up, but Necro 3 almost done on the 1, so that's the Lycan's first major item of this game. After this Necro 3, though, what would you be looking for if you're the 1? Would you put a little bit more into the pushing department and maybe pick up a Deso, or does he have to start building defensive items to build up some of his HP and more damage output as well? Like, what would you think if you're this Lycan?
I mean, BKB is always in consideration, is not good versus the Faceless Void, and Venge has an answer to that as well, but up against an OD, I think the value is just so high, you kind of have to get it. And if they really are looking to end the game, then BKB is the item that you want. Just 10 seconds worth of just, at the very worst, like hitting range racks or something like that, is probably going to be the item for Lycan. BKB upgraded boots, I would say, the progression.
Yeah, absolutely. The boots would sound really good. And then all of a sudden, maybe maybe Adfinem can maybe keep alternate attacks away, or at least on one side of the map, so the Lycan can go split push on the other side. Like, they can definitely do that. It's one of the more olden, I guess, the older styles of playing the Lycan, where teams used to play it, where it would be the 4-fight, 1 Lycan push man sort of strat.
Broodmother.
And, yeah, Broodmother.
Spartan.
Oh, gosh.
Haste rune straight into a magic
Rip.
missile. Swap back into rockets.
And
Gives
that's
up
the
a
gem.
gem as well.
Oh no, that's huge as well. And it's pre 20 minutes as well. Like, that gem's value is huge.
That is so devastating, especially when it's the Mirana to have the invis on the Finem side. So they're the ones with all the invis, and now it's not exactly going to be super strong. And I guess lesser, you get the counter to the wolves, kind of. That's something. Roshan is going to be respawning very soon, and that pick off of Mirana is not going to tilt the numbers in either direction, but the gem is going to make it so that, you know, Moonlight Shadow is less effective, the Wolves less effective, this Glimmer Cape on the Bane gives you a little bit of magic resistance, but at this point, that's about it. So I'd find I would love to be able to slide right into this area, grab Roche, go up high ground, take Raxes, and then, you know, just dust off the game, but I'm not really sure if they're quite powerful enough to do that right now.
We'll have to see though. Even though they might not seem powerful, it's going to be up to who is going to be the one to get the main initiation, or how they can actually get the fight going in their favor. So Roche going to go down, and it looks like Adfinem is going to get this quite cleanly, as alternate attacks have no idea that this is happening. They actually have started pinging it out though, so they have an idea that this is happening now. And this is not the fastest Roche. Are they going to get there in time though? They've been thinking about going in?
The Avenger's gonna wave. See some people, but
Nisha's at the back of the pack though. They're not even gonna get a Chronosphere in there.
Gyrocopter is nowhere nearby. And Arrow, tags the Vengeful Spirit. They're walking up high ground though. I like this play from Adfinem. They're going to back off, let them come down, and they're going to jump in. Chronosphere onto 3. Where's the follow-up? Cooldown is going to come down. The one actually gets pulled out of the Chronosphere somehow, and now he's actually free to let loose. No one's died just yet on Adfinem. They'll drop the Vengeful Spear first, lift up the OD as well, as Supreme's going to fall right into a danger zone. In the meantime, Thug, he's Nightmare off to the side, so he's doing absolutely nothing. They do take down the Aegis, but now Nisha's gripped up, and at the same time, the one is trying to manhandle Exotic Tier, will win that race, and they're going to grab the OD. They're going to grab Nisha. That's a full 5-man wipe in favor of the Dire side. That was such a disciplined move from Adfinem, getting the arrow on the Vengeful Spirit, then falling back, knowing that if they go up this corridor, they will get massacred. I love it.
And what happened with the Lycan, he never got chronoed to begin with. He was on the very edge of the animation. I think the Lycan model was just a little bit too big, so the hitbox was never in the chronosphere to begin with. So that was huge, because the one could have been blown up instantly, but he was actually given time to walk out, and obviously alternate attacks doesn't have anything to chase a Lycan after the chronosphere, so they had to just ignore him and focus everybody else down. Like, that's a disaster. That one fight cost alternate attacks a Rax, and also it's going to be a T3 as well. Like, with no chronosphere, there's no way alternate attacks going to be feeling comfortable fighting into this.
Arrow's going to lock down
Bane.
Robert G. They'll take down the Bane and swap the Mirana back up. But even if they kill off the Mirana right now, like, they'll get the gem back, which is, I guess, a real pain in the ass for Adfinem. But the tier 3 is down. Faceless Void is up, but there's no Chronosphere. Everyone from Adfinem, they're just going to back off. And they are perfectly happy with how that went. In fact, I don't think they could have imagined it going any better. Yeah, that was that was a rough fight for Alton. Even with that positioning, even with that Chronosphere, which locked down the Lone Druid, completely got another one there as well. The Bane was really far in the back, and Nightmare onto Nisha, just keeping him out of that fight. Grip in the very end on Nisha as well, so Thug is still in this bottom lane. Not really sure if he wants to be here, although the wave will miss. Chronosphere should not. Oh, Yule Scepter. He's slowed down just a little bit by the Rod of Atos. He's going to try to burst down Nisha, but the Time Walk will give him all of his HP back, and now the Invoker is dead. Very dead. There's a gem on the Vengeful Spirit. She got it back after that last team wipe, but still a Rax down. Alternates, even with the kills that they got, shouldn't really be comfortable in this game, since the item's going to be coming up and then some on the Dire side. Lone Druid has a Plate Mail AC not too far away from completion. Like, that in and of itself is just so dangerous.
Invoker actually shouldn't have been that far into the Radiant jungle to begin with. You can definitely tell that he was feeling overconfident with that Blink Dagger and Yule Scepter. Like, he probably thought it was only Nisha. If your alternate attacks I'm pretty sure they are never going to go into a fight with just 2 to 3 heroes. They will bring in 4 heroes at least to grab a kill. Oh,
not like this. Oh, they actually didn't see him.
Oh, it's nighttime.
Bane doesn't even have eyes, so I don't really know how they missed that. But oh, now they see him. They see the courier. They missed the Starstorm.
Yeah,
sure.
they got fogged.
That was awkward.
Well, that was like 2 pirate ships. They just sort of...
they got the courier though. No.
Oh, did they? No.
No.
Almost. No. That's when you wish Lycan Wolves are ranged.
Throw an arrow and miss. Trying to get the Chronosphere out. They got it out. But not really in the way that they would want, because Spartan doesn't have a leap out, and he'll just get obliterated. I don't know what the hell that was, but it's a free pick for alternate. However, for Ad Finem, that's kind of okay. No Chronosphere for 100 seconds, whereas Moran will be back up soon. As long as they don't lose anyone else, they could actually make use of the fact that there is no Chronosphere up for however
Thug
long.
is Arcane Rune. He just picked up an Arcane Rune. He's looking for blood. And it's me Dazzle Blood as well. Nice pink juicy blood. So GG Robert. So we're going back to the fountain pretty quickly. God, you have to be so careful when invokers pick up arcane runes. The hero just becomes a completely different monster. And are they actually going to make this into a push? They're pushing quite heavily in this bottom lane.
Mirana is not going to be here, so there's going to be no initiating arrow. But they have a Spirit Bear with Plate Mail. They have Thug who can pop up those double Forge Spirits. And that should be good enough knowing that there's no Chronosphere on the other side for a minute. This is going to be really tough for alternate to defend against. They still have a really good Sanity's Eclipse. Because, again, these heroes are pretty dumb on Finem side. They'll swap back Skylark. Can they bring him down? He's in the call down zone. However, the Nightmare is going to protect him against the missiles and the homing missile. Skylark doesn't have another Savage Roar just yet. He's going to get some backup from a Tornado, but he needs like swap or something. He's going to fall. Skylark down means the push is stone cold over. A great swap back there from the Vengeful Spirit.
Oh gosh. Ad Finem, that's the second time this game that they've been caught in a position that they shouldn't have really been in to begin with. Like, Lone Druid getting that close to the base, if you can actually get swapped in by a level 2 Nether swap as a Lone Druid, yeah, you're a little bit too far forward. Like, I know he wanted to move into the middle lane instead, but Ad Finem can't afford to get caught out like that, because you're giving away a lot of gold to alternate attacks, and they have heroes that will be able to turn that bit of gold into huge items. Like, look at Supreme, he's finished a BKB, and with the BKB up, the only thing that's going to be able to control him is going to be the Fiend's Grip, and obviously Ad Finem doesn't want to use the Fiend's Grip only on Supreme. Like, they would obviously like to use it on other targets if they really have to, but now it's going to be OD, the primary grip target here for Abain.
For how long, though? Because Exotic Deer also almost has a BKB, so pick your poison. They also do have the Entangle on Lone Druid. That's not something that you could really depend upon, but
yeah.
it's something maybe to be relevant in some situations. Either way, alternate have 2 sets of magic immunity. Well, I'm going to say that the Gyrocopter has his up, even though it's not quite done yet. Plus, they have a big item pickup. Faceless Void, Chronosphere, now cooldown down to a minute. So there are going to be no more opportunities for Ad Finem to grab that trade Mirana for Chronosphere, then make a push happen afterwards. Because the Chronosphere is going to be up pretty much every single time. At this point, the Dire side need an Aegis. And it should be, this is the 3rd one once Roshan comes back up. So Aegis Cheese is probably going to give them the best bet at taking another set of Raxes.
Who grabs the cheese? Would be the Lone Druid?
Yeah, probably.
Or was it the Lone Druid that'll pick up the Aegis?
I would cheese the Lone Druid and Aegis the Lycan, but Nisha needs to not get gripped right now. Time Walk doesn't actually get him past the trees.
They don't know he's there. They don't know he got stuck.
Oh, they see Robert G swap out as there in a giant Chronosphere, catching Spartan, catching the one. No follow-up, though, because the grip is on Supreme, and he's not doing any damage right now, and now the one is let loose again. He's just going to tear the OD to shreds. Call down is way too late. They'll lose the Outworld Devourer, and Exotic is completely out of mana. Nisha does not have a Chronosphere any longer. I don't know if that was a mistake or planned by the Faceless Void, but it should have worked out a lot better than that. But the grip for maybe next time was backbreaking, and now the Venge is on the front lines, along with the Bear. This Bear does not give a damn. Savage Roar onto 3. Not going to do that much, but how much damage can they do to these Raxes? I think they should be going for ranged right now. Nisha's going to jump right in, freeze a couple of cooldowns. That's about it, however, because the Bear's now starting to let loose for real on the melee Raxes. Meteor's going to fly through, not do a ton, but secure them the Raxes at least. And now for Ad Finem, they just have to leave. And it seems like the only thing that's really chasing them is this missile. Jump forward, magic missile, but now the Venge is in no man's land. They're still trying to deal with this bear, but the bear's just not dying because of this Assault Cuirass and Vlad's auras. So much armor, and they catch the Vengeful Spirit with the Cold Snap. Tornado is there as well, landing right into a couple of right clicks. Not going to do it just yet because of that Grave. Eul Scepter also not going to get the kill, but the Radiance just might, as Vengeful Spirit is going to almost go down. Arrow! Arrow's not going to connect, but it didn't even need to connect. No big deal. They'll dust up, kill the bear. Everyone else from Finem trying to leave. I don't think they will get picked off here. Nisha needs another Chronosphere, does have it, but he doesn't have a Blink Tag or anything like that to actually position it. So end results that Finem still survive with the vast majority of their heroes, and they take another set of, or another melee racks. Another set of racks, actually.
Oh my goodness, this is turning into a huge disaster for alternate attacks. One more fight, and if they can't win this next fight, they're going to lose their last set of Raxes, and it's going to be Mega Creeps. And they don't have the best heroes when it comes to dealing with Mega Creeps. Because at Finem, they've got so much pushing potential. Like, they win one team fight, then all of a sudden you've got a bear plus Howl plus wolves on your tower. And what are you going to be able to do with it when you don't have anything like a Keeper of the Light to keep so many units off of your tower? Like, you've got a Dazzle, which is great. But this game, like, we haven't really seen too much of an impact coming out from Robert. He's been able to get a couple of nice Graves, but they don't have enough defensive capabilities, unfortunately, to keep the OD alive. Like, mid-fight, he popped his BKB, but he got gripped. And they had nothing to actually cancel out the grip for a very long time just because of the positioning of the Bane. Like, he doesn't even have Aether Lens. This is a Blink Dagger Bane. So, this is just turning into a huge disaster for alternate attacks. I don't know how they're actually going to be able to come back from this game unless they can turn these team fights. And I think one of the major items coming up would be that Blink Dagger on Nisha. He needs to get those perfect chronos off.
He's not too far away from it, but whatever he gets is going to be kind of overshadowed by the fact there's now Cheese on Lycan and Aegis on Skylark. And they just spent a little bit of extra gold there as well. Not really sure what Skylark bought. Where's his bear? It's a Demon Edge, so soon MKB most likely is going to be coming up on the Spirit Bear, and there's only one Rax left until they just have straight up victory. So alternate attacks, they need this combo to land. They need the Chronosphere to be absolutely perfect, and they need the OD to also not get gripped in the meantime. Eclipse can still do it. Like, they can still win these team fights, even through the Aegis and Cheese. I think Alternate do have team fight powerful enough to do that, but they just have to make sure to not get jumped right now. Bear on the front lines. They'll swap back Madra right now. Magic Missile is there. He pops the BKB, though. He'll survive for a little while longer. Now he's just going to charge straight in, as the call down is not really doing all that much. They catch Nisha. They'll try to grip him up. No, they actually grip up Exotic Deer, and everyone's too far away to actually cancel that off. They kill off the Dazzle so far. Vengeful Spirit is barely going to limp out of there, but the Radiance Burn takes her down at the end, and the one is going to take down the Gyrocopter as well. No one really is super low on Finem. They finally drop a Chronosphere, but it's not really being followed up upon. The one is still alive. Skylark is barely surviving, and even then he has the Aegis. One is still alive. Madra, I can't believe everyone on Finem is actually alive still. The bear is probably going to be the first one to fall. They're onto Supreme with the Cold Snap. A couple more Forward Spirit shots. They'll get the kill. Exotic Deer bought back for this, but immediately put to sleep right into an arrow. Ice Wall's there as well. He's not going anywhere. Did they seriously not lose anybody? That's unbelievable.
That was a huge disaster, and the reason why the Chronosphere was so delayed was Nisha was trying to get into a position to chrono the Bane because he was in the middle of a grip, and he just got entangled by the bear. Like, he was stuck in position. He could never actually get the chrono off until it was too late. They desperately need the Blink Dagger, but they're gonna lose both of their Raxes. They can get a couple of hero kills for consolation, but it's just too late. I don't think they're going to be able to actually come back in this. Oh god, Robert got arrowed and he's going to get picked off by this wolf. Oh Jesus, and now Supreme's in trouble. He's running away from the wolf. He's on two legs, and unfortunately he's hiding behind a tree. He doesn't even live. He was so close. Now it's going to be Nisha's turn. Well,
like in Shapeshifts, runs at Nisha, gets killed in one hit. I love it. It doesn't matter at this point because Alternate have lost, but Lone Druid still has Aegis and still has a live bear. And that's it, GG.
And it's GG. Oh my gosh.
Pushing comps, man. Pushing comps.
There's not just pushing comps. You have to give a lot of credit to Finem with the way they executed their draft. They made a couple of mistakes, losing, I think the major team fight was that top team fight where they gave a huge amount of kills after securing the first T3 tower of the game. But then after that, their decision making was perfect. Like, as well, you pointed out that they were perfectly positioned for that the high ground near the Roche Pit fight. That was a great play coming out from Finem. So definitely props to them as a team. So I don't think alternate attacks were in a position to really catch out Finem unless Finem made more mistakes.
It also doesn't seem like Alternate's team fight was all there. Like, they have all these tools, but they never really came together at the same time. I'm not really convinced on this Dazzle pick last. Like, it's very rare that you say, oh, Dazzle, bad pick. But I feel like if they just had another sort of hero to do any sort of damage into that Chronosphere, like even, I don't know, like a Disruptor or something like that, not even like the strongest combination hero, would have been okay. But the Dazzle wasn't really super impressive, since even with that additional time, with that Grave, they can't really turn around and do that much damage until they get a lot more farm. And OD wasn't really there yet. Gyrocopter was kind of getting there, but not really quite there either. So it is going to be Alternate to lose Game 3. Not really comparable to the Game 2 display. But either way, that's going to be it for today. Guys, this has been day like 6 or something like that from the NoShang Invitational. And Finem are going to moving forward to the next round. Don't know their opponents yet, nor do Alternate. But that's going to be coming up probably tomorrow. Hehe versus Hellraisers. We played at around the same time, 16:30, 16-ish CET. I'm Mikelorus for the last game. Been joined by Daneliecasts. If you enjoyed the casting, be sure to follow the channel. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Mikelorus, at Daneliecasts. It's all in the upper right-hand corner of the screen and in the title of the stream as well. We'll see you guys next time. GG.